one of the most inspiring things is the way a road goes into infinity. And you go along and think, my God, that's forever. And you get to like that point, and the road continues onto infinity. America seems endless. It's not. That little rock, I could draw like this. That little rock is a little rock. It's literally a conglomeration of debris and rocks with this thin soil that's been eroded by other rocks. And I'm a pilot. So you need oxygen at 12,500 feet, 2 miles. 2 miles in the air, the oxygen is such that you can't live. You need supplemental oxygen after 2 miles. You've got 2 miles of air, this little thin soil, which is barely enough to put your fingers through in places, and this rock, and we're living on it. I read Rachel Carson's book, Silent Spring, when she published it many, many years ago. And I didn't quite understand it. I understood DDT and the soft eggs and the birds that were facing extinction because the eggs were breaking because of DDT, which is the most powerful, wonderful killer of insects, so crops could grow, not remembering or not even knowing, I guess, in those years, that insects was the fountain blood, or the blood was the means by which so many entities, plants, trees, animals, birds, live on the flow, the continuity of insects. And we've invented something that's so wonderful. It's killing all the insects so we can grow more crops. Is that crazy? And I thought, this is incredibly stupid. But surely somebody else knows more than... It went on for years and years. It's going on. The stupidity behind DDT and all the subsequent mistakes are apparent to all of us. And it continues. And when we landed, I found myself sobbing. I thought, what am I crying about? For crying out loud. Why am I and in front of the cameras, right? And I tried to apologize, and I went off into a corner. Wasn't that an interesting sound? And I thought, what's the matter with me? And then I realized a rather familiar feeling. I was in grief. I was in grief for the world. I could see I read about all the extinctions. I drove from Los Angeles to San Francisco and back in a day to do something or other. And in that, what is it, 700 miles? Or, when I used to drive, I drove it all the time. Especially when I was younger, you'd have to stop every 100 miles or so and scrape the insect off the debris of insects on the Sunny King Valley. My trip there and back in the day, there was one splat, one insect I killed. That's where the insect world is today. I was in grief and I found myself sobbing. Finally, all of this passion, because I've been reading in the many years the interconnection of life. It's unbelievable when you look at it. The interconnection started in the primitive seeds, where cells not absorbed each other. They didn't fight, maybe they did, but some of them were acquired and became us. We are those early cells. We are the algae that became grass, that became trees, that became us. It's not like, oh yeah, we're all like, no, we're the same. Everything is the same. We're all parts of the intelligence of life. And we're killing it. I can't believe it. So I was overwhelmed. And one of the things I wanted to do, I knew I had to do, was remind you of how sacred life is. And we participate in that sacred life. It's up to us now to stop killing it. Thank you so much.